Roll call shows all council members are here tonight, which is great. The Open Meetings Act is by the front entrance to the council chambers and is available for public review. We will have the invitation with Jeff Kelley tonight.
I ask you to pray with me. God, as we come to this time, there are those folks that are in the public eye, but there are a lot of folks that we forget about, the people who fill our potholes, the ones who make sure that the water is running, and those who travel up and down our streets while most of us are asleep, keeping us safe. We just ask your blessings upon them and the work and labor that they give. Help this council to make wise decisions, give them your guidance, and help all of us to just make our lives better so that we have a better place to live. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jeff.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Individuals who have appropriate items for City Council consideration should complete the topic for consideration for City Council agenda form located at the information table by the entrance to the council chambers. If the issue can be handled administratively without council action, notification will be provided. If the item is scheduled for a meeting, notification of the date will be given. Do we have some announcements or recognitions tonight?
Nothing tonight, Carol.
Nothing tonight. Okay, next item on the agenda is a public hearing regarding the adoption of the 2026 to 2036 comprehensive plan for the City of McCook. We have a motion.
Move to recess the city council and convene a public hearing for the purpose of receiving public comment regarding the adoption of the 2026-2036 comprehensive plan for the City of McCook with the city attorney to act as hearing officer.
I'll second that.
Any discussion, council? Okay, all those in favor vote yea, opposed nay.
My vote's cast yea, no vote's cast nay.
Okay, we'll hear from the city attorney.
All right, thank you. There are 5 exhibits being offered for this hearing. Exhibit number 1 is the city manager report, that's 1 page. Exhibit number 2 is the notice of public hearing, that's 1 page. Exhibit number 3 is resolution number 2026-05, comprehensive resolution of adoption recommendation. Exhibit number 4, proposed comprehensive plan, that's 150 pages. Exhibit number 5, McCook Planning Commission meeting minutes, February 9th, 2026, and that's 3 pages. I'll accept exhibits 1 through 5 into evidence, comments from the city staff, and then we have Miller and Associates here.
We'll have you guys come up here and tell us how it all went out. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you. My name's Craig Bennett from Miller Associates, and it's been a pleasure to be working on this project and see it come to fruition. I mean, you guys as a community have devoted so much time, so much effort into contributing to a plan for the next 10 years. And so we just want to say thank you for coming alongside. You guys have so many great things that we'll talk a little bit about tonight, or Jason will, that came out of this plan. It's been fun to see those unfold, and actually some of them under construction. So that's been kind of cool to see that come out of a plan like this. So.
Yeah. No, I would just reiterate the same thing what Craig just shared. It's been a great opportunity. We've enjoyed it, and we're just thankful to be here tonight. So with that, I might just walk through the plan and some of the updates literally from the last week. And feel free to ask questions as we go through this if you have any. Just quickly, I might just give you a quick list from last week, the Planning Commission meeting. These are some of the pages that I gave everybody an updated version of. 19 and 20, 27, 28, 57 and 58, 61, 62, 67, 68, 105, 106, 121, 122, and 139 and 140. There were also 4 or 5 maps that were updated as well. And with all those pages in the maps, there really wasn't something, maybe the maps needed a couple of tweaks in terms of the city limits. That when we started, it was the correct city limits, and now here we are a couple of years later with the expansion, so those are all updated. And the same thing with the pages that I mentioned as well. Most of those comments that were updated were in the tables or figures that were correct a couple of years ago, but just simply needed updated to be current. So that's the updates that we handed out tonight. So the comp plan itself, much of this is directed by a state statute in terms of what is required in the comp plan. As we go through this, I just picked on a few pages or a few sections out of each chapter. And one thing I would direct everybody to page 17. And in part, selfishly, I just like the history of McCook. I got to include postcards, which who doesn't like postcards? But it really talks about the power of place and the promotion, the marketability of McCook, and the idea of selling place. McCook has, over the last century, had a lot of things going for it. And I would look at those postcards from 100 years ago and apply the same mindset to today. With all the development, the sports complex, for example, how can you sell McCook? How can you promote McCook? And that's really what that history section dives into. McCook has a great history and use those postcards, that mindset to sell place. Chapter 1, much of it, in addition to history, talks about demographics. And don't get lost in the numbers, but it really tells a story of where McCook is today and looking at the next decade plus. So the projections in terms of population, for example, one thing I like is on page 35, the inflow, outflow. And it's interesting because when we look back over several comp plans that we've done over the last couple of years, McCook is really one of the few communities that has more people coming into it on a daily basis than leaving, if you will. So that's a good number to consider. And again, you might just think quickly and say, okay, super duper. But then kind of take a step back and think, how can we attract those people to possibly move here? And not all of them would move here, but that's maybe a point in those demographics and those numbers to think about. So you have a lot of people coming into the community on a daily basis. What services do they need? Is housing a consideration? So just a few things to comment there on chapter 1. Chapter 2 starts on page 43, and we have a lot of numbers. Water usage, sewage discharge, all those numbers have been updated. That's a lot of what you see in this chapter, the updated numbers. This chapter kind of concludes on page 77, the last few pages. And what I like about this chapter in general, kind of the infrastructure nuts and bolts. And I just made a quick summary of the assets of McCook. The community college, we talked about the rail line, the highways, north, south, east, west from McCook, the airport, the library, the golf course, the fairgrounds, the hospital. It's a long list of really key, noteworthy assets for the community. And we'll talk about the sports complex later, but again, that just adds to that mix. And it really made me think about our discussion last week of promotion of place and how do we attract, and I think Nate said something about, yes, family members coming back. And I get that, I see that. Craig and I talk about that all the time. How do we attract the next generation? I know we just did a project in Ravenna over the last year and a half, couple of years, and we completed a comp plan for Ravenna, but a park and rec study as well. And I would just kind of share some of that to speak to McCook. For Ravenna, we talked a lot about its proximity to Grand Island, its proximity to Kearney, but one thing that Ravenna, I want to say was struggling with, but park and rec. They have a hike-bike trail, but it's on the east side of town. It doesn't really have much connectivity to speak to at all. But in terms of today, hike and bike trails, park and rec, that is a driving factor for communities across the country. It is a huge community asset in terms of attracting the next generation. So many younger folks, our kids, for example, that's what they're after. So again, the importance of place and assets. I mean, we could look at community college and the airport and the library. The sports complex is just another tremendous nugget for McCook to sell, so to speak. So I just wanted to highlight that. Chapter 3 starts on page 79. Some of this we might say kind of fits into the environmental component, talking about conservation and climate. This chapter, the maps definitely stand out. The infrastructure maps definitely stand out. A lot of that's related to water. The Republican River definitely stands out when you look at this. McCook's obviously connection to the river. Drainage development ties into that as well. Jumping ahead. Chapter 4 starts on page 107. Here again, kind of the state statute idea. So again, the comp plan has a number of criteria that the state statutes define, and we were able to add to that as we went through this process. But page 107 is the beginning of chapter 4, land use and annexation. And I like this to think about what if. What if we added another subdivision? And that's thinking about some of the meetings we had in McCook and public input. That's a lot of what we discussed. What if? So not just simply looking at a static land use map, but thinking about existing land use and future land use. What does that look like if McCook would annex an area and add a new subdivision or a new sports complex? And I just like that. The maps start on page 111. Not that they start there, but in this chapter, is existing land use. I think that was one maybe that was updated. So existing land use is figure 4.1A. 4.1B is the ETJ in existing land use. A few pages later is figure 4.2A, which is future land use. So again, I just like that comparison. Existing land use, future land use, again, thinking about demographics and projections, environmental concerns, and that's really where the comp plan gets useful, and not that the rest of it's not useful, but you can graphically and visually see that. Page 123 is figure 4.3, the blight map. We talk about the community development law, and simply saying that the blight and substandard map for McCook, updated to show figures 7 and 8. And Craig could probably speak to this better than I can, but blight and substandard is a tool. It's an economic development tool, and that's what we tried to highlight in those studies and tried to highlight that in the comp plan as well. How to use TIF financing, for example. Page 127 is figure 4.4. It is the annexation map. Again, we were not to provide, this is what should be annexed, but coming out of the public input meetings and discussions with city staff, going back and forth, what areas make sense to annex? It doesn't mean that you have to or that you should. Some of this is infrastructure driven, be most cost efficient, if you will. What areas make sense to annex as McCook thinks about what's next? The last chapter begins on page 129. And I might just direct you to pages 132 to 136. It might be a little bit text heavy, but it's talking about the public input survey and the SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. I would like to point out that this is all valid data. When you look at the number of people who came to the public input meetings, when you look at the survey numbers, it's not just my opinion, it's not Craig's opinion, even though we are right most of the time, but it's statistically valid. So I think Nate, you might have been the only person who caught that, so thank you. So, but no, I mean that. It's valid. We had huge sample sizes, so it's not just our opinion. And when you look to the public input and the SWOT analysis, that's what you see on these pages. What does the community see as a strength? What does the community see as a weakness or an opportunity or a threat? And so it's valid when you look at the numbers in terms of how many people responded to those surveys. Kind of from that, you get to pages 138, 139, and talking about the goals. And I would just point out some of the goals might be general comments. McCook needs housing. Great. But then some are very specific. And one, kind of maybe the last goal that we added, talking about St. Catherine's and brownfield redevelopment. So we were able to capture several different things in that goal section. Some are in general, some are very specific. The brownfield development was added just a few weeks ago, literally. And then as you continue over the next couple of pages, pages 140 and 141, again, thinking about the assets that McCook has now, how could we enhance those assets or add to them for the next 10 years, for the next 50 years, for that matter? We talked quite a bit about the arts sector, if you will, in the community, to recreation, what you have now, the High Bike Trail example, to the sports complex. And again, I would just conclude with how we kind of started sharing. McCook has so many different assets, and the comp plan is just a document to guide and direct development over the next 10 years and on down the road from there. So we appreciate the opportunity, the public input throughout this. Craig and I have shared this with several communities that could we write a comp plan without public input? Sure, we could. But we like public input to really tailor it and cater to the public. What does the public see? What does the public want? And it's just been a great opportunity to walk alongside of you through this process. So there you have it.
And I would just add too that as Jason has went over 2 years almost at this point, probably a year and a half to 2 years, somewhere in that range, a lot of input. This is a book that I hope you guys will not just leave on the shelf, that it will not be from a public standpoint, just be on the website but not clicking and reviewing. And from a planning commission standpoint, it'll be something that they turn to the next project that comes forward. How does this align with our future land use map? How does this align with annexation? How does this align with infrastructure extensions? How does this align with like substandard? Because this is a 10-year plan that helps you look ahead. And some communities only visit it once every 10 years because they just want it for that reason, to have it as something that does help aid and assist in funding, which is an important part of any funding component, to have a comprehensive plan. And so I know you guys as a community won't do that, but it's just important to always say that at a public hearing, that this is more than just a book. You know, it's a lot of sweat equity that you guys have put into it, and it should be a tool that's revisited often as you guys go forward these next few years.
And I can say, from our experience, the comprehensive plan gets broken out very regularly. We have discussions as far as where we want to expand in the future. We have discussions at the planning commission level with respect to a particular special exception. Well, how does that fit into, our future land use models? I can think of a number of different projects here in the last few years where I referred to that to explain to people, hey, this is the reason why we're doing what we're doing. And so it's systematic. It goes through a series of steps to tell the story of what our plans are for the future. But I use this to explain to people, hey, we're not trying to be difficult, but we went through 2 to 3 years of planning, discussion, sessions, whatnot, and everybody had an opportunity to participate. I mean, they were open to the public, advertised. We had great turnouts. I think for the majority of them, we had a lot of fantastic interaction between Miller & Associates, city staff, and the public. We had a very good, strong steering committee that helped us out with this process. And so I just feel really good about where we're at. I think that we've taken a leap forward with what's being presented tonight. And I think the really cool thing, Jason kind of hit on it, some of the stuff that we were talking about a year ago while we were going through the planning process for this and getting this set up, we actually started working on it. So I think it speaks volumes for the city's willingness to act and take the bull by the horns and hopefully take advantage of what we've got available to us here in the future. So, and Jason and Craig did a fantastic job. I appreciate their willingness to sit down and go through things with us. Sometimes I know that it's long and laborious, not easy, but they were fantastic to work with.
Well, I would just say too, just to echo those same comments, we work with a lot of different communities, but the flexibility that city staff has had to be able to allow us to even hop in from Kearney, even though we have a McCook office here. Both Jason and I are in our Kearney office, but to allow us to be able to connect and decide and solve problems that we think, how should this really look in the comp plan? We've been able to get on calls many times throughout these past year and a half or so, and it's really helped make it more impactful and help our public meetings progress in a much quicker way because of their willingness to work alongside of us too. So sometimes we felt like maybe we could almost be McCook staff employees. So I don't know, it was so great. It's like we get on and it's like, how's the kids doing? You know, so we've appreciated that kind of relationship.
Well, we appreciate all the work you've done on this. And I see we've had like 72% rate of people responding on a lot of the things that you've asked about. So that's great. I mean, we've got a lot of people that are interested, and they came forward and said, this is what we'd like to see. So thank you. We appreciate it.
If somebody from the public wanted to come in and get a copy, can they do that?
We have some available, otherwise we probably tell them to go look on it. It's available on the website.
We're gonna link it on the website.
Okay, the website, okay,
It's
that's
a little
fine.
expensive when you have to make copies.
Understand.
Yeah.
They can copy it off the website.
Yeah, that's fine, just as long as they have access to something, a hard copy or the website, that's fine.
Yes.
Just wanna make sure that somebody else
There's a
has.
hard copy they can look at here, but not to take with them, so.
Anything? Anything else, Council? Thank you.
Okay, any questions from the public for Miller and Associates before they step away? All right, thanks, guys.
Thank
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Safe travels going home.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, recommend we reconvene.
Okay.
I move to adjourn the public hearing and reconvene as a city council.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion, Council? Okay, all those in favor vote yes, opposed nay.
My vote's cast, Jay, my vote's cast.
Okay, next item on the agenda is to approve resolution 2026-05, providing for the adoption of the 2026-2036 comprehensive plan for the city of McCook. Do we have a motion?
I'm gonna 25-35.
25-35. Oh,
That's what the book says.
the book.
Yeah, we'll go with the book. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. 25-35. Nice.
Okay,
Okay.
one.
Yes, I didn't get that corrected.
That's okay.
Yes.
Okay. He's got it
You're
ready
reading
now.
that now.
Okay.
We need a motion, or do we?
Yes.
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 I move to approve resolution number 2026-05, providing for the adoption of the 25-35 comprehensive plan for the city of McCook.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor vote yea, opposed nay. Yes, 25-35.
You're as long about that. And you're 25-35.
My vote's cast, Jay, no vote's cast, nay.
Your pen is still
The
on.
next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. The consent agenda is approved on one motion. Any item listed on the consent agenda by the request of any single council member or public in attendance be considered as a separate item under the regular agenda. Council, do you have anyone? You have none? Okay. Staff. Anybody from the public? Okay. We have a motion.
Consent agenda item, move to approve items A through G.
Okay. Darcy. Okay. All those in favor vote yea, opposed nay.
I couldn't find yours.
I votes cast yea, no votes cast nay.
Okay. We'll move on to the regular agenda. Do we have an update regarding the youth sports complex?
We do. And lots of good things moving forward the last couple of weeks. We had our meeting, if I remember correctly, it was probably last Monday when we had our meeting, or 2 Mondays ago, with Lynn Hayden, and Craig Bennett, and Kyle Colfer, and Charlie McPherson to discuss kind of how we're going to marry the appraisal consulting portion with valuations and then marketing, so that way we can start bringing different retailers to McCook. So it was good to make that connection between the 4 individuals. We're looking forward to continuing working with them during the course of the past couple of weeks. I really appreciate Tara's work on compiling data for Lynn, so that way Lynn can begin her consulting and appraisal work for us. Our plan is to get Lynn out here so she can really eyeball it, so she has a better understanding of what this looks like. And I would throw this out here to the audience, and I don't want people to know now. I would encourage people to contact us. We're happy to go ahead and take people out there. I think once you see it from the central part of the property, it makes a lot of sense when we start talking about development opportunities. There really are some things out there that McCook will have available to it that we have not had in years past. So it's extremely exciting. I know that our staff is excited about it, council's excited about it too. As part of our ongoing discussions as far as bringing retailers to the community, we have a retail coach meeting tomorrow. Charlie will head that. And then this past week on Tuesday, Eric Mulholland was in town with Mammoth. He came to just kind of look at the site and work through some of the most recent updates with Tara, Kyle, and myself. Tyler, were you there too?
Yes.
Yeah, I was trying to remember who all was out there.
there.
Yeah, Kevin was out there. Oh yeah, no, Kevin was trying to stay invisible. I think Kevin realized how much grass was going to be out there, and he's like, I'm going to go back to my truck and not come back. So I was glad you came back. But there were a few adjustments that we discussed, primarily just some aesthetics, naming of the park along the gable, how to address it so that way we can fit in the letters that are being carved out right now, so we fit on the facade. We also wanted to identify some areas for some other items like the flagpole, statue, making sure that we were addressing the ability to bring in vehicles, ambulances, whatever the case may be, in case something were to happen on site, but also for maintenance and whatnot. Those are some things we talked about. The weather's been nice. We're very fortunate to have had some good weather. I know that they started on a championship softball field a little bit earlier than what they thought they might. We're still looking springtime for rolling out of the turf. I don't want to give too many specifics because I'm not quite sure exactly where we're at on that, but I think it's probably going to be relatively quickly. We still are excited for this to open this summer. Whether it's mid or late summer, just kind of depends on how everything falls together, but things are on track. We did have our infrastructure meeting this past week, led by David Blau. And Kirk is making great progress on the sewer and water portions of the project. We had some good conversations with NPPD, Paulson's. Things are really starting to kind of move along, and I think that they're on track for their, they had 2 phases. Part of their project was supposed to be completed by June, And then everything was supposed to be done by September, and I think they're on track for that. So, Kyle, anything that I missed, Tara, or anybody that was a part of the meetings?
You got it.
Okay.
Things are progressing.
That's exciting. Okay. All right, next item on the agenda, wait a minute, it's council comments. All right. Good job.
Okay, I have good news, so again, choice gas selection period, April 2nd through the 22nd. 3 weeks. Again, we have the same 8 suppliers that we did last year. So just remember, April 2nd through the 22nd. As I think I told you last time, the ACE board voted to return back to the 75 communities that are part of ACE over $400,000. And our share this year is $19,380.
Who's that?
So in the years that we have been part of ACE, we have got back, according to Leanne, over $243,000 we have gotten back from ACE. We have spent on projects in the community over $190,000. And this year our balance with $19,380, we have like $61,000 in the bank with ACE. So, and I'm sure there'll be people that will be coming to us asking for money. So that's good news.
It is good news.
Excellent news. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay.
And I just want to thank the people who choose ACE. Because thank you, without your choice choosing ACE, it wouldn't happen, because ACE is the only supplier that literally gives back to the community like this. None of the other suppliers do.
Some of the projects guys got to.
You want to look at the projects? Band shelter reconstruction, skate park. We give money to the chamber for advertising for all of Sarah's events. We gave money to the Freedom Festival for last year. Police body cameras. North Alley project. We purchased a flexible barrier for the police department. Kevin, I think you have it right. A flexible barrier.
Oh, yeah. As heavy as it is, yes.
So, I mean, we watched the old transfer bus, we gave money to that. That's just the auditorium, the curtains. So, I mean, there's just a lot of projects that we just, all for the good of the community. So again, thank you people who choose ACE.
And staff internally would like to earmark some of what we have now for shading structures out at the new complex.
Shading structures out of the sports.
We have a form, right?
Yeah. We'll turn ours in. Oh,
I know.
That's a great idea. Okay. We'll have to make note of that.
Yes, we will.
Okay.
That's it. That's good news.
Anything else? Okay, an executive session may be held upon the majority vote of the council for the protection of public interest. There are strategies